All right, so all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth, and also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. We're going to start this video off with the fair use disclaimer. It says copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All rights and credit go directly to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement is intended. All right. It says fair use is a doctrine in the United States copyright law that allows for limited use of copyrighted material without requiring permission from the rights holders, such as commentary, criticism, news reporting, research, teaching, or scholarship. It provides for the legal, non-licensed citation or incorporation of copyrighted material in another author's work under a four-factor balancing test. All right. So I guess it's only right also to give Esau a warning. All right. We already went over your agreement here, your doctrine, your disclaimer. Okay. So it's only fair that we give Esau, all right, the warning. When you come against these videos, when you take them down, all right, when you use your subtlety, your deception, your lies to come against His truth, all right, all that is doing is adding to the Lord's indignation, all right, and it's not a surprise to us nor the Lord, all right. It may be a surprise to most of the world, but not to us, and that is your warning, flat out, all right. So this video is going to be the sixth question in, hold on. Hold on a second here, man. All right. I thought this was going to start acting a fool, but let me go up here and find this question. I'd rather have to scroll up than have these questions, have this page closed when I open this screen. So the water, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, for that. All right. I'm just going to scroll up for a second and okay. Okay. The last question we did is, can it be seen how the natural next step for these wearables would be the micro C-hipping or BCI technologies? All right, that was the fifth question, I believe. All right, so we're going to go into the sixth question. All right, because one of the answers that it gave up here it mentioned complex ethical and societal questions. So let me see. So the end of that fifth question was uh, the paragraph was subheaded important considerations. I'll read this again and then we'll go into the sixth. It says, it's vital to remember that each step towards greater integration with the human body also raises more complex ethical and societal questions. Concerns about privacy, data security, potential discrimination, and the balance between human autonomy and technological integration become even more pronounced as these technologies become more intertwined with our lives. Responsible innovation and robust regulatory frameworks are crucial to navigate this progression effectively and ensure these technologies serve the best interests of individuals and society. One question that you have to ask is who's going to make these frameworks, these regulatory frameworks? All right. Who's going to figure out the interests of individuals and society? All right. It would be easier for them to say that they, have to make the rules instead of going to every individual person to find out what they like or dislike or what is comfortable to them or not comfortable. All right. So who's going to be empowered to do that? Again, we're speaking of Revelation 13 and verse 16, where it mentions that and he. All right. Esau, Edom, the ones that are in power are going to determine the guidelines for this technology. Anyway, the sixth question, because it did mention complex ethical and societal questions, right? So the sixth question I asked was, these complex ethical and societal questions could be overlooked if the right people or money were in power, right? Okay. Meaning, all right, that they can cut corners if they have the right people in position, if they have the money to do so. All right, they can just go around, find a detour through these valid concerns. Okay, that was my question. If they had the people and money and power, could these things be overlooked? So it says, yes, the concern that ethical and societal questions surrounding advanced technologies like micro C-hipping and BCIs could be overlooked or downplayed due to the influence of power and wealth is a very real one. All right. So again, this AI is considering things that most people are not. People are walking around here with regular sense, not common sense. Like the Elder Apostle Tahar has said, this truth, the doctrine of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai is basically a doctrine of common sense. All right, but people have regular sense. Okay, the sense that this man has dumbed you down to having. All right, so it goes on to explain why it's a very real question to ask if money, the right money and the right people could dumb down or downplay and overlook uh, the concerns, okay, of this technology. So it says, here's why. It says lobbying and political influence. It says powerful tech companies and industry groups exert significant influence in Washington through lobbying efforts, funding research, and forming alliances with policymakers. And this is nothing new. All right, this is nothing new. No one would be surprised by hearing this, man. I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe so. All right. Maybe so. It says these resources can be deployed to shape regulations and public perception in a way that favors commercial interests over broader societal concerns. In the case of AI, for example, there's been a surge in lobbying to resist strict regulations, particularly advocating against the kind of frameworks adopted in the European Union. Um, I think there was something about not being able to regulate AI for 10 years. Let me see exactly what that was. All right, I asked, where is it that AI regulation should be put off for 10 years? It says arguments to delay artificial intelligence AI regulations for 10 years were primarily raised during the debate surrounding a proposed moratorium on state AI laws in the United States. This moratorium was included in a budget reconciliation bill in the House of Representatives, but it faced significant opposition and was removed by the Senate before the bill was signed into law. The main arguments for delaying AI regulation were centered around concerns that a patchwork of state laws could hinder innovation, increase compliance costs, and create administrative complexities for businesses, particularly startups. All right, they always want to act like they're doing something for you. Okay, when it's really that they want to uh, have this AI grow in the way that they want it to grow for 10 years without interference. It says proponents also suggested a pause would allow time for the development of a cohesive national framework for AI governance. It says, however, opponents argued that delaying AI regulation for such an extended period would leave individuals vulnerable to the potential harms of unregulated AI, such as bias, deepfakes, and job displacement. They also highlighted the importance of states acting as laboratories of democracy to develop innovative solutions for local needs and emergent risks. Critics also expressed the concern that a moratorium would primarily benefit large tech companies at the expense of consumer protections and states' rights. And that's basically what the plan is. All right, let me see something really quick here. Um, so ultimately, it says no AI moratorium for now, but what comes next? So as of July, all right, it says dubbed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It says nearly put a decade-long pause on state and local government AI regulation. Let me. There's another article. Big Tech is pushing for a 10-year ban on AI regulation. Man, they want to hurry up and push this thing through, no matter what, man. All right. Uh, so let's go back here to the question. It says economic incentives. Incentives. It says the potential for immense profits drives the development and adoption of these technologies. The lure of financial gain can sometimes overshadow the need for a thorough exploration of the ethical and social implications. All right, they hurry up and push this thing, get it, put the fix in. All right, get this thing up and running, get everybody to have it. It's harder to go backwards. What are you gonna do after you implement all this stuff? Okay, and then have to go backwards, figure out that something is wrong after the fact. It's kind of like getting a thing that they were making you get in 2020. And then how are you going to get that out of you? All right, it's too late. It's already in the system. You know what I mean? So it says now lack of public awareness or understanding. It says the complexity of these technologies can make it challenging for the public to fully grasp their implications. And they know this. That's why they want to go ahead and push forward with this. This lack of understanding can be exploited by powerful entities to push for less regulated development and faster deployment. Remember, it's not about money. It is about control, like we read here in Psalm 73 and 7. In the NLT, it says these fat cats have everything their hearts could wish for. All right, but they want more, man. Let's see what that says again in the King James. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than their heart could wish. All right. Man. Steadily pushing for more and more control. And going into this system is all but going to solidify this. All right. This is going to connect everyone. It's going to allow for the surveillance of everyone. Okay. One world. All right. One world. They want everything connected. So now it says fast-paced innovation. It says the rapid pace of technological innovation can make it difficult for regulations and ethical frameworks to keep up. By the time potential risks are identified and understood, the technology may already be widely adopted, making it harder to implement effective safeguards. We just mentioned that. The more you get this thing in use, into the public, into the system, you can't go back, man. Okay? It says the quote, move fast and break things mentality. It says, while not universally applied, a philosophy of rapid development and iteration, sometimes seen in the tech industry, can lead to technologies being introduced without sufficient consideration of their ethical and social impacts. It says, however, it's also important to note that growing scrutiny, okay? It says there's increasing public awareness, academic research, and policy discussions surrounding the ethical implications of emerging technologies. For instance, organizations like the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, IEEE, have developed ethical guidelines for technology professionals emphasizing responsible design and societal impact. Now, you have to ask yourself still, okay, if you have the right people in the right place and the right money, okay, and that they can pay off policymakers, they can hold off regulations for 10 years, why wouldn't they be able to give you the problem solvers themselves, all right? Put their problem solvers in place, all right, to hurry up and calm your fears about or your concerns about what's going on here. That's what's important about the money, okay? All right, money talks in this world, man. All right, the love of money is running rampant in this world the way it is. All right, it also says civil society advocacy. Groups like the ACLU and others are actively working to raise awareness and advocate for stronger protections against potential harms associated with technologies like micro CHIPs and BCIs. Regulatory efforts, especially in Europe, it says some regions, notably the European Union, are implementing stricter regulations around data privacy and AI, which can serve as a precedent and influence global conversations and policy decisions. Because ultimately, Ensuring that ethical considerations are prioritized in the development and deployment of these powerful technologies require a multi-pronged approach. This involves informed public discourse. Is that going on? All right. Informed public discourse isn't just talking really fast about the problems or not mentioning the problems at all. All right. You know the concerns, but you don't bring them up to the people. All right. You don't bring them up unless someone asks, and then when someone asks about the problems, all right, you talk all around it. All right. The way they handled this, man, the episode case. Okay. That's how they're gonna move forward with everything. This is what we say. Move on from it. All right. There's no need to ask any more questions. Either you can be happy with our answer, or you can just go on with your life mad because they don't have to answer to you. You have to answer to them now. All right. The people don't have the power here, man. All right. This is why we say there's going to be class wars. Okay. Not only a world war, not only a race war, not only a civil war, but class wars also. Okay. It says independent oversight, robust regulatory frame, independent oversight. They're telling you the things that aren't going to happen. All right. Informed public discourse, independent oversight. Come on, man. Robust regulatory frameworks, and a commitment from both developers and policymakers to prioritize human well-being. It's a joke. That's not going to go down like that, man. Alongside technological advancement. None of these things that were named here are going to happen. Especially that last part, to prioritize human well-being. They don't do that now. All right. So let me check this time. All right, I'm gonna cut this video here, and then we'll come right back. We'll come right back with some more questions because I started asking more and more questions. All right, so that was the sixth question. I hope this came through as sincere and edifying. And with that, all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth, and also Shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. All right, before we go though, hold on. All right, I'm going to read Psalm 73, 1 through 7 again, okay, before we close the video out. A Psalm of Asaph. Truly, Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai is good to Israel, even to such even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone, my steps had well nigh slipped. Now there's going to come a time really soon where you well, let's read this next verse. 73 and 3. Psalm 73 and 3. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Now there's times like this in this world now. All right, there was times in this world back here. Okay. There's times in this world now where people are like that. All right. You envy at what people have instead of listening to the Lord. You want to go your own way. All right. Something pulls you to that because you want something that you've seen that is outside of this truth. So you walk outside of the truth to get it, as long as your life is comfortable. All right. And you may not see that now, but there's going to come a time where you see that. All right. But even in the future, when things get worse, it's going to be this way. All right. You're going to envy someone who took this micro CHIP and who seems to have 1 million or 2 million or 5 million credits in their account, right? And who knows, 5 million credits might amount to $1. But people will see 5 million credits in their account. They think they got $5 million. Who knows, man? These people are going to do things how they want to do them. All right, they're going to fool you. They're going to deceive you to get this thing. And once you get this thing, it's over, man. It is over. No place of repentance. So again, 73:3, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. So when you see these people, right, with these large numbers on their screen, all right, when you see them with a little bit of food versus your no food, when you see them with scraps, all right, which is what people have now, are scraps compared to what the rich have, compared to what the top banking families have. All you have is scraps. You really don't have shit, man, and you still getting these rules, their rules and regulations tightened up on you. All right. But when you start being envious at the foolish people who take this thing, at the perceived prosperity of these banking families, all right, that set the rules, what are you going to do? Are you going to fold at that point? All right. Asaph said his feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. Okay. But he didn't. All right. But he did not. But he started pointing out things about these people, right? They are not in trouble as other men. Excuse me, I'll jump down to verse 5. We can read verse 4. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. It seems like they're winning in in this life, which they are. This is their kingdom, right? But their blessing is their curse. Right? Their blessing is their curse. Okay? Do not take hold of their side, man. Don't follow their ways. All right? Learn not the ways of the heathen. Okay? Nor be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at something like that. I'm gonna get that verse in a minute, man. So again, Psalm 73:6. Since it does seem like everything is going their way, all right, that's the Lord catching them up. All right, He has them in a trick bag. This proves who they are. Their pride, the control that they have, right? How they have people follow them to destruction. This proves who they are, man. Psalm 73:6. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain. All right? Violence covered them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. All right, all they talk about is things that go against the Lord, man. This is where they have you headed. All right, and they strut through the earth like that pride. All right, their tongue walketh through the earth. People are going after the things that they speak of in the way they speak of going after it. All right, they tell you a lie, you believe it. They lead you towards death, and you happily follow. Okay. All right, but let me find that. Um, what was that? Learn not the way. Okay. And we talked about this before. All right. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. They are going to be taken down, man. Okay. When they start seeing these things happen, they are going to be fearful because, okay, it's going to be evident what their end is. Right now, they're so close to accomplishing their mission. You know, you got part of them, they know what's going to happen to them, or they really think they're going to accomplish what they set out to accomplish. And the other half of them know that they're not. They know they're not the Most High. Okay, they know they are not, man. And these signs are going to keep happening more and more where, hey, the most that they're going to be able to do is take as many people with them to this destruction as they can, okay? All right. So again, learn not the way of the heathen. The way of the heathen, yes, you have to know your enemy. All right, you have to know what they're doing, but there's balance to this. You can learn the ways of your enemies, but you don't have to walk in their ways, man. Okay? So don't walk in the way of the heathen. Don't take up their manner of life and have that be your manner of life. Come back this way. And I don't mean don't go their way, but go your own way. I mean come back to the ways of the Lord, man. Okay? Come back to the ways of the Lord. So that was question 6. Lord willing, we'll be back with question 7 in another video. So with that, again, all praise to Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short. All right. Also known as the prophets of doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number, and Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.